Welcome to another Ride Pure podcast from Motorverse at Ridavania. And today, it's a real pleasure to have with us Sabrina Schroeder, who is a really multinational traveller. She lives in Cape Town in South Africa, she lives in the Netherlands, and she spends a great deal of time here in India too. So welcome, Sabrina.
Hi, Gordon. Nice to meet you. Thanks
nice
for having
to meet
me.
you. Haven't spoken online with you so many times.
I know.
It's brilliant that you're both here.
Funny to meet in person,
In
right?
person, yeah, exactly. But for our listeners and viewers, maybe we can talk a little bit about how you first encountered Royal Enfield, your first experience with them, because that was quite an unusual one.
It actually was. It was around 2008 when I came to India, and that was by sheer coincidence. But I remember very vividly being on those crazy roads with lots of traffic, and suddenly I saw this gorgeous motorcycle passing by, and I thought like, ooh, what is that? And that was a Royal Enfield, obviously. It was the black classic, was wonderful back then. And I thought to myself, one day in my life, I must be able to ride one and own one of those. And at that point, I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle, and that was my dream manifesting at that point of time already. And then fast forward 10 years from there, I actually learned how to ride a motorcycle, and obviously looked quickly at Royal Enfield too.
And it was quite a baptism of fire, because you learnt to ride in Mumbai, didn't you?
That is right. I always had that dream of once in my life I need to learn how to ride a motorcycle, and then I woke up and said, one more day can't pass without me knowing. So I called a friend and said, you need to teach me how to ride a motorcycle this weekend. And I learned. And that's how I learned how to ride motorcycling. And I think India was probably the best place where you can learn it, because it just gives you so much freedom to ride, and plus you get the opportunity to ride in wonderful landscapes, and of course on a Royal Enfield, which very quickly was my first experience of actually touring and doing a longer distance trip eventually.
And if you can handle a Royal Enfield in Mumbai traffic, you can handle one anywhere.
In the world, in fact.
In the world, absolutely.
I think it's the best way to learn very quickly how to become a very good rider. In fact, you'd have no choice but to become one.
And what did your family have to say about this?
They were very encouraging. Actually, my dad, he inspired me to ride a motorcycle, and he said, oh, you should do this. And in fact, now that you know and learned how to ride a bike basically last week, we should do this most dangerous trip in the world from Manali to Leh. And he was pretty much the driving force behind me riding a motorcycle up there, encouraging me not to be a passenger, but rather actually ride on my own. He said, you'll be fine, you learn it on the go. And I, in fact, did. So that was probably the most significant, or one of the most significant experiences of my life and motorcycle riding.
So you actually made that first trip into the Himalaya with your father?
That's right. We did it back
Fantastic.
then. First time, he was in his late 60s, and he said, you have to do it. And I said, are you sure? Shouldn't I be a passenger? He's like, you'll regret it. Please ride your own bike. We'll get a Royal Enfield. That was my first time actually sitting on a Royal Enfield, on a motorcycle more than 100cc, and I thought I would be very intimidated, but just sitting on it and learning how to ride it day by day and conquering those mountains was just, I couldn't have asked for a better bike, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's how I even fell more deeply in love with it, because ever since I never looked back.
Was that a classic you were riding?
That was a classic back then. No, in fact, it was the Bullet. My dad had a classic.
Was a Bullet?
I was on the Bullet, yes.
Right.
It saved my life more than once on that trip. So that's, hence always reliable.
Yeah, the Bullet has got such an amazing history of riding through the Himalaya as well as all around the world. What a fantastic machine to do it on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's non-indestructible, and even if something happens, you can always fix it, and it pulls you through. You just kick it in second or third gear, and it takes you through the sand and the water and wherever else you want to go.
Sure. And then you ended up creating RETSA,
Yes.
which is stands for Royal Enfield South Africa Tours. Is that correct?
That's right.
Great. Did I get that
Royal
right?
Enfield Tours South
Africa.
Africa.
Right, got it the wrong way
But
around.
yes,
Royal
it is.
Enfield Tours South Africa. So how did that come about?
Well, at the same trip, my very first motorcycle trip, on that trip in Ladakh, I met this guy from Cape Town. His name is Adish, who is now my business partner in South Africa. And we both connected about the love of riding a Royal Enfield in wonderful landscapes. And we really enjoyed that experience. And a few weeks later, he called me up and said, hey, listen, I think we got along very well, and I have this crazy idea. We should do something similar, offer Royal Enfield experiences in South Africa. We have wonderful landscapes here. It's beautiful to ride, but no one rides on Royal Enfield. So let's do this and let people experience all that joy and adventure that we just had, but in South Africa. So we bought 2 motorcycles, or 2 Royal Enfield Classics at that time, placed them into Cape Town, and said, let's see what happens and rent them out. And out of this, it grew organically into a wonderful business where we have now 20 motorcycles and do tours and rentals and all kinds of Royal Enfield related experiences. And that's how it all started. It's all in India, in Ladakh.
Sounds amazing. So do you get your rentals, are they to foreign visitors who fly into South Africa and want to experience the country, or is this more for local people who want just something different by experiencing a ride on an Enfield in particular?
I think it actually is both. A lot of it also has changed because of the pandemic. Initially, there was a lot of more tourism. Then during the pandemic, we had to become quite creative to offer other kind of experiences also to the local riders, of course. But I think generally, Royal Enfield as a brand is just so unique and wonderful, and it gives you such a rich experience wherever you travel. So we get a lot of foreigners, a lot of people from Europe, from the US. We even have riders from India as well coming to experience and explore the country on such a classic looking motorcycle. It has so much history, and people in South Africa are not so well versed with the brand yet. They see it as something new. So wherever you ride, someone will strike a conversation with you and wants to know about it and wants to take a picture. And it's just such a charming, happy, engaging brand and motorcycle that people really love it, and it ties well into, I think, the entire South Africa adventure safari experience that you get. And also the local riders, they would like to do it. So we have experiences and rides and shorter coffee ride experiences where local riders can just come in and experience a Royal Enfield on their own, and oftentimes they keep coming back and back for more.
Right, okay. And you, South Africa, you must have some amazing roads and dirt roads and game reserves. Can you get into game reserves with motorcycles?
You can. Actually, I was very surprised when I found that out. You have a lot of public roads through game reserves, and you're just going to be careful not to be caught by the lion, I guess. But so they have public roads. You can actually ride through a lot of those game reserves and experience, your animals, your giraffes, your elephants, like really close up. It's absolutely a wonderful experience. I think South Africa as a country is really wide and large, and you can keep traveling on, of course, highways, but also smaller roads, which are beautiful. You have absolutely stunning coastal roads where you can ride on the coastal line and watch the whales, jump up and swim next to you when it's whale season. It's stunning, or the dolphins. And then you take a left turn up into the mountains, which are just right next to you, and you explore that on gravel, and you have your little rivers to go through. And I think you can make it as adventurous and off-roady as you like it to be, but you can also enjoy the same kind of motorcycle experiences by just cruising lovely for hours and hours through magnificent landscapes.
Idyllic, absolutely idyllic. And so now you all started organising tours where you take South Africans to India as well, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm quite proud of it this year, delayed by the pandemic. We're finally making it. We took South African riders to Ladakh, to India, to share that iconic must-do experience that you have to do once in your lifetime as a Royal Enfield rider. So we took them all to Manali, in fact, and rode from Manali to Leh. A lot of them are owners of Royal Enfield in South Africa, so they wanted to come to almost like the birthplace of the brand, and they were just so positively surprised and in awe of seeing so many riders here, connecting with the local community and really experiences what it's all about for the first time. And we also had riders from Switzerland and India joining us last minute, and it was just really incredible to be able to offer this to people from South Africa.
And do you actually lead those tours yourself?
Yes, I am. I make it a point. I get a reason to come back here.
And that means you've got to go and scout them out as well on your own first, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So I always make sure I'm there before. I have my motorcycle. I ride a Himalayan, actually, which is always based in India. And I take it wherever I ride. And I rode it up to Manali on my own to scout some new areas and develop some new routes. And as you know, as a Royal Enfield rider, it's always wonderful. You always meet someone who you know. No matter where you are, someone shows up also riding a similar bike, and you connect over that. And I think that's what makes it especially special as a bike to ride. You make so many friends wherever you are in the world through that brand. They're so warm-hearted people and connect and helpful wherever you go. And I've not experienced this to that extent with any other brand, to be honest.
Yeah. And you've ridden in Europe too on a Royal Enfield.
I have, in the Netherlands. I was very lucky back then to get my hands onto the back then newly released Meteor 350 and the Continental GT 650. Yeah. And riding that through Europe also I hadn't done in those areas. And that was a wonderful experience. Just the terrain is different, the way of riding is different.
Oh, very.
You have rules that you have to follow.
Real rules.
Yes, and they don't take that lightly if you break them. But that was wonderful, just to experience also a different side of the motorcycle, where you can be faster going on the highways, for instance. But I think it still holds that same kind of charm wherever you go.
Did you enjoy the Meteor 350?
I did. It's very different to the bikes I rode until then. It has a different riding position, but I look very much forward to what's coming up next and the recent launches. So
with the 650 Meteor.
Oh, absolutely. I think it looks wonderful. As a bike, very different, and I'm excited to see it in real person, hopefully this weekend. But yeah, the Hunter also absolutely loving it, the agility of it, and I'm a Himalayan fan through and through too. So I think there's so many bikes to be excited about, and you can't have just one, so you need to just expand and on more for different reasons. So.
And you're hoping to get some Himalayans into South Africa as well for your tours?
Absolutely, yes. I think it's a fantastic country for off-roading, for gravel. You have different grades of graveling, so we offer gravel 101, 102 experiences too, to get familiar on those type of terrains. And I think the Himalayan is just a perfect bike to explore for long distances, and to not having to worry about any kind of gravel or rocks that you see, because just of the way the bike is built, it's just such a wonderful riding experience. It's very soft and tough at the same time, and especially as a woman, when you're a shorter rider, it's extremely comfortable and light to handle, and I really enjoy that about that. And plus it looks really cool when you ride it, so it's had this badass feeling about you when you're sitting on it as a girl. You're like, okay, yeah, that's my bike. It's very cool.
Have you got luggage on yours?
Yeah, I keep strapping things on it. I have like front panniers. I like that, so I can grab things quickly while I stand and stop and grab my water bottles, and otherwise I'm really having just the luggage.
What's a frog pannier?
The front panniers, you have these little
front panniers. I thought you said frog pannier. Do excuse me, I'm sorry.
Sorry, my accent. No, just some soft panniers.
This is a brand I'm not familiar with. Frog luggage.
No, just some soft panniers in the front, and my duffel is strapped to the back and just tied with a bunch of cords.
So you actually mean tank panniers? Oh, of course, on the Himalayan, you've got the rails on the front, haven't you?
Yeah, so you have like little two soft pouches that you can tie onto that or clip on, and that's extremely handy. I tried it out on this trip in the Himalayas. It was a blessing in disguise, and my duffel is just strapped on the back, waterproof, and that's all you really need. You don't need much to travel, I think.
Yeah. I wish I could say that.
I've traveled with 15 kgs for a year, so I think you can manage.
How many kgs?
15. Hand luggage.
Yeah. It's so easy just to think, well, I might need that, and you never know if I need this, and before you know it, especially if you're carrying spare parts. And that's the beauty of a new Royal Enfield, is that not only is it reliable, but the parts are readily available.
Yeah, finding spare parts is always has been difficult, which is one thing that I'm very happy about in South Africa now, that we finally get our hands on spare parts and share it with the community. And but yeah, you know how it is. But that's also what makes these bikes wonderful. You can repair them easily. It's not like it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. You don't need a PhD to do it. They're beautifully designed. They're authentic motorcycles. You can tell what's the engine. You don't need to be a computer coder to understand these bikes, and that's what I really, really love about.
So have you learned mechanicking? It's hard to say that. Mechanical skills to be able to repair your bikes as you go?
In theory, yes. So I think I can look at a Royal Enfield and tell you what's wrong with it. I can tell by the sound how it knocks. I know the engines inside and out. I've seen them apart because we have the workshop there, and I'm in charge of the workshop. I haven't done it myself physically often enough, to be honest, but I can at least pinpoint it in and say, that's what's wrong, that's what we must fix. And then you will find someone who can hopefully help you.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Cool. So you're at Rider Mania for the first time?
Yes, I'm very excited. I've been dreaming of this for many, many, many years. And this year, finally, I could manage to be here in India and to attend the event. And I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. I have a lot of friends coming from all across India who will assemble here, who I've met through my motorcycle journey and time in India. I'm very excited to be united with them and meet them again and hear about their experiences and
That's
journey.
Fantastic. So you've done various rides around India and met people.
Yes.
And they're going to all come together
Yeah,
at this.
I've been in Sikkim and Darjeeling, I've been in Kerala, I've been down in Tamil Nadu and Goa, of course, all around Mumbai. And wherever you go, again, you meet people, and I think that what makes it really, really special. So I'm very excited to meet them and make new friends as well over the course of the next few days and to see what it's all about. It looks just fantastic, just seeing a glimpse of it while passing by the venue.
It's hard to take it all in, isn't it? There's just so much going on.
Yes, I did not expect that. So I'm very, very excited about
it's a bit like
tomorrow.
the Glastonbury Festival of motorcycling. I mean, it really is. It's so diverse what's happening here.
And I don't know anything else that's similar to that, to be honest. So I think it's really very unique and has grown into such a wonderful event for everyone that's very inclusive, whether you're a rider or not, in fact.
Yeah, whether you ride a Royal Enfield or not, come along. And but it is a single mark event, so there is certainly a lot to sort of deep dive into Royal Enfield here.
No, absolutely.
Brilliant. Hey, look, it's fantastic to have you come and talk with us.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope that the weekend is as exciting as you think it's going to be. I'm sure it is. I'm sure that we'll all have an awesome time. So
I look forward to it.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.